Hi everyone, this is Steve Field from the Prime Safety Department. I'd like to thank you for finding our video out on YouTube and taking the time to watch it. It's designed primarily for our associates, our drivers, our mechanics, and our in-house associates, but we're very transparent. We are welcome anyone to watch this information, and we're proud of the information we have. Today we're going to do it a little bit differently, a little bit more detail. We've solicited a lot of questions, so hopefully we're going to be answering a lot of your questions today. We've got 4 different panels we're going to run through. The first panel, fantastic. We've got Robert Lowe, our founder, CEO, and president, and we've got Steve Wutke, our vice president of sales and marketing. So I'm going to kind of start it here, and we're going to see where Robert and Steve take it. Morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, Steve. Thank you.
You know, I remember March 12th. If you remember where we were in Bermuda. We were coming back, and Robert, you got a call from Dr. Abraham, and you put it on speaker. We were heading to the airport, and that was an important phone call. I could tell from your mannerisms, you were listening to Dr. A. We canceled the instructor banquet that night. We canceled the safety meeting the next day, and from then, we've only had one more management meeting, and we've done a lot.
We have. You know what comes right after the 12th? Thursday the 12th, the next day is Friday the 13th.
Friday
right?
the 13th.
And on that day, we made some, it was truly a Friday the 13th because, I mean, all, kinds of bad news was breaking loose. I had been tracking with the news media, we had just come out of Europe, we just come out of London, and we were, kind of concerned, I'd say, but not, on that high state of alert until we started home on the 12th. And after my discussion with Dr. Abraham, I knew that I concluded in that conversation that we need to take abrupt actions, and we did. And I think as a result, you can see that we've had relatively few positives, out of 11,000 people, including our drivers and in-house. We've had a total, I think now, of 19.
We have
19 positives, so we've done a good job. But I would just remind everyone, we can't let up. We took strong, appropriate action. We did some things that we didn't enjoy very much, but it has indeed paid off. And I would just ask you all to let's not let up now. The worst thing that can happen to us when you think about it, because your health is so important, is to have an outbreak, have a cluster outbreak at Prime. We've heard of other companies smaller than us that have had 19 or 20 people in their operations folks that are out. That virtually cripples. I'd hate to think what we'd do, Steve, if we lost 19 or 20 of those key people that are talking to customers, booking and planning loads on a daily basis. That just would be disastrous. So let's maintain what we're doing, and let's prevent that from happening here.
Robert, we should clarify. We were not on vacation in London or Bermuda. We were actually placing insurance, trying to find really good pricing for our insurance. So it wasn't like a real yo-yo party trip, right?
Far from it. I was uptight the whole thing because insurance is tough to get. As everyone's probably aware, it's really gotten expensive, and you almost have to beg the insurance companies to provide quotes and coverage. So we were making presentations and having meetings with different insurance carriers every day, and literally they were, marking down, all our stats, hanging on every word. We have a great story to tell, and I think we told it very well. And it's great when you have good information. You don't have to stretch it or shade it. We had a good safety year. Really, the last 3 or 4 years have been outstanding. And so it wasn't vacation. We were meeting with insurance companies, and I think we got the job done because we explained the truth about what Prime's all about from a safety standpoint. And it's a very compelling story. And as it ended up, they wanted to sell us insurance as opposed to our competitors.
Yeah, Robert, that was a really good trip. It was enlightening, I think, for the insurance people as well as our team. I think we figured out ways to present information that's probably more meaningful as we present it in different manners. I know at this time in my career, I don't have a shot at getting a raise, but I do want to say this. I think your forward thinking about what was coming was supremely important, and to have the courage and creativity and support from technology, Rodney's team, to immediately get people home was tremendous. It made a huge difference in where we are today, and I think we've learned a lot about our people and how effective they can be working at home. It's almost unreal. I would never have guessed that we could disperse 800 people in-house or whatever and be able to communicate effectively and still work with our driver base and book freight and all be seamless. So it's really been a beautiful thing in that way. Something good has come out of such a horrible situation. So I commend you. You're a tremendous leader for us all. And as I say, I don't expect a little bump in the check.
Well, you're right about that. You're not going to get one.
Yeah, so we'll let that go.
That's off the table.
Okay. So I think another thing you mentioned, which is really unique, we say it all the time, no matter what our customer base is, right? And no matter how well they support us, no matter how high we can move rates, without a tremendous safety year, we're not going to have a really good, profitable return. So to see us go through this and continue to drop our overall safety numbers is incredible, right? I mean, again, it kind of all comes together. Our driver base has just done such a terrific job operating in a safe manner. We say safety is our highest calling. It took on a new meaning back in March. Our highest calling for our people and our people's families, our drivers and their families, but also the motoring public. That never goes away. So I think we should be proud of what we've accomplished on the safety side as well.
I think our operators have just done a fantastic job, Steve. There's been additional stress as we're dealing with the coronavirus, but they've just performed so well, and we do see it in our numbers. And we heard Robert talk about what we've done in the office. We've made adjustments in the shop. We've tried to provide information to our drivers. My question for you is, what are you hearing back from our customers? You know our customers. You know them better than anyone. Have we lived up to our reputation as being the number one carrier out there?
Well, Steve, I think first of all, the criteria for service, kind of varies by customer, but in every instance, I think we have performed very, very well. I think we just were selected as Shaw's Carrier of the Year, both inbound and outbound, which is, for a refrigerated carrier competing with dry guys handling their product, I think is just outstanding. We always get recognized by the Tyson folks for our capacity, and our Zeta Foods also gave us Carrier of the Year award. So in spite of all the things that our driver associates have experienced, they continue to give the highest level of service. And you can negotiate a lot of different things, but customers truly appreciate the service our drivers give, and that puts us in a tremendous pricing position. So that's just the way our operators roll. It's our culture, and they have lived up to it.
And I think we've seen that, and I know Robert has some numbers. I think one thing we're exceptionally proud of is during these challenging times, we've kept our operators whole. We haven't had to resort to necessarily paying a bonus or something. We've kept them whole, and when you look at the numbers year over year, 2020 is a good year. We're following it on 2019, which was trying to keep up with 2018, which was incredible. And Robert, I think you have some numbers about how our three divisions are performing this year.
Yeah, thank you, Steve. Yeah, last week I promised to bring some numbers, some charts, and thankfully to the accounting folks, they put some together for me. So let's start off with units, because there's always concern when things slow down that companies have a tendency to continue to add capacity or add equipment really at the expense of the existing fleet. In other words, revenue per truck gets diluted. So On the fleet size, you can see that we've added 27 trucks this calendar year to date, which is, like a blip for us. Typically that would have been, say, 250 or 300 trucks that we would have expected to add, say, by the 1st of June. We did not do that. There were just that many in the pipeline, so we fulfilled those commitments, and we did add 27 reefer trucks. Flatbed, the opposite way, we're down 26 units. Tanker, up 5 units. Again, those are units that were in the pipeline, commitments made and commitments kept. So how does that impact our revenue per unit? Our reefer revenue per unit currently for the entire fleet, every reefer truck, is $48.87 per unit. That's a revenue per week number that other companies would absolutely die for. That's opposed to last year of $46.64. So we're up a nice incremental amount, and just proof that we are not diluting our freight base. In fact, we're doing more revenue per unit per week than we did last year in reefer. Tanker, very much the same. This year, $43.28 per unit per week. Last year, $4,032. Flatbed, a little closer. Last year, we were at $43.40 per unit per week. This year, $43.48. So we're not up by much, but we're up. And there, as you recall, the number of units in flatbed we actually took down, and that's helping us achieve this revenue per unit. Let's look at the overall revenue trend. These are interesting charts. You can see we were kind of going along, pretty close with reefer, flatbed, and tanker until that second week, second week in April. And it was like we fell off the cliff. I think we fell off the cliff less than our competitors, but still it was severe. I'm sure you all felt it there for a minute or two. It didn't take us long to recover. It's this typical, or what we're all hoping for the general economy, is that V-shaped recovery. We fell down 1 or 2 weeks and then we shot, right back up. So with tanker and flatbed, a similar situation. It's interesting to note brokerage. Our brokerage fell off the table. That's by design. I don't have anything against these folks that we broker our additional freight to, but honestly, that's part of our strategy, is when freight gets tight, our brokerage diminishes. And now it's virtually shut down. We took all that business that we were brokering out in prior periods. Now our core drivers, our assets, our drivers are hauling that freight. And again, that's by design. And I think a tribute to our operational staff, to Steve and the sales crew. But that's how we've managed to keep the revenue enriched for our existing drivers. And that's how we do it, and I think it's a good strategy.
Robert, in light of that, where we are today, we're starting to see our freight basket fill up again. So our logistics people are finding opportunities now to engage with our logistics group. So I think that's on the reverse side now. We, as you all know, we really kind of measure the volatility of our business by loads rejected. And we're seeing that come about now all of a sudden. Now, that's a positive, negative. My opinion would be we figure out an answer and don't reject anything. Just find a solution for the customer, whether it is deadhead or figuring out a way to cover that freight. But the point is, we're seeing more tenders now. Our drivers are feeling a more robust marketplace. There's still a few spots along the way, but certainly when you look at the Midwest and the protein guys, they've had a tough battle and had to close down, shutter a few facilities, but they're opening up now. California was a godsend to us, moving trucks from the Colorado market over to California to handle that business. It was really good. the Southeast region has kind of taken care of itself and assumed some other trucks from some of the Southeast locations. So we've had good answers for really tough times. And I think we're seeing our network balance out more now. I believe Jim Guthrie will be speaking to everyone here later, and we'll probably touch on that. There's a couple things, though, we need to keep track of, in my opinion, and that is we need to realize how important our training program is. Developing new drivers and teaming up these trucks. The profitability on them is tremendous. The earnings are tremendous. So we really need to encourage our driver base to think in terms of becoming a trainer. And if you have and decided to get out of it for a little while, think about getting back into it. Because this is going to flip. And when it flips, there's going to be a tremendous opportunity for us. I know that you predict a lot of things, but I'm curious, what's your thought about the marketplace, let's say in 90 days? What are you thinking, Robert? Just a broad swipe. Share with us.
Well, I think that while we need to prepare for the worst or tough times, a flat or down market, I think we need to be very aware. It's a fluid situation, ready to again, be that PT boat, not the battleship. Turn the rudder quickly if what's called for is more capacity. We want to jump in there and take that market share from our weaker competitors where we can. My take on the general market is that it's going to be down, maybe down 5 to 10% for the industry, maybe a little bit more in certain pockets. My take on business, what we're going to do is we are going to be up ever so slightly, but we're going to be up as far as revenue per truck and top line. It's not going to be easy because in a down market, it makes things more complicated. You can always get it if you're willing to cut your rates, but with our service, we don't have to. And with our relationships, many of which we're thankful to you, Steve, for maintaining. You've done an excellent job with that. Our customers are sticking with us and giving us even more volume when we're not the cheapest alternative because of our service and because of the way we performed over the years as far as providing capacity through good times and bad times. So I look for us to be up a little bit, but the overall market is I'm afraid, going to be down.
Which really takes us back to the cultural part of our business. We've had a strong culture with our customer base forever. They have been very, very loyal. We can't thank them enough. And that obviously is a beneficiary to our drivers, and they've earned it by giving the service. So I think the future is going to be bright for Prime, not without a lot of work. And I think that we need to continue to encourage our drivers to sanitize, mask up, wear gloves, protect yourselves in every area. And we'll get on through it. Every day we get closer to getting to the end, I think.
I think we've seen it time and time again. And the old saying is when the going gets tough, the tough get going. And we may not have known it, but we were so prepared for something like this. We didn't know it at the time that we could move 98% of our in-house associates to home seamlessly. We didn't know that we could split up our shop and continue to perform maintenance. We knew our drivers. We knew they would get it done. And we're going to come out of this stronger than we went into it, without a doubt.
I do think our shop folks have just done a heck of a job, Robert. They just keep getting equipment through, getting it repaired, keeping us on time, taking care of tires and maintenance, and all across our maintenance area, it's been phenomenal.
It really has. It really has. Those technicians, can't forget about them. They have done a great job in this period and worked under considerable stress out there through the highs and the lows, and performed very, very well. So very proud of them. I want to thank our drivers as we wrap up here. You're doing a phenomenal job. None of this happens without you all out there, getting it done, regardless of COVID-19 and other obstacles. You're doing a hell of a job, and it's very much recognized and appreciated. So I want to thank you, and I'm sure I share those sentiments with Steve and Steve here and the rest of our in-house folks. Thank you very much for what you do.
Absolutely. Anything we do in-house is pale in comparison to what you all are doing out there every day. Thank you. Do it safely. Thanks, Steve.
Well said. And Robert and Steve, appreciate you both taking a little time today. You know, our company looks towards you both for your guidance, your leadership, and we're indebted to you both. And thank you for your time today. I thought that first segment was very interesting. It's always good to listen to Robert and Steve talk big picture. What we've got now is each of our operations heads for our 3 divisions. We've got Jim Wilkins from the Flatbed Division, Jim Guthrie from the Reefer Division, and Brett Von Waller from the Tanker Division. You heard Robert talk, gentlemen, initially about Friday the 13th and how that was a big day for us. Just briefly, for each of your 3 divisions, could you just give us an idea of how the transition was, really just talking about the office staff as you moved them to the house and how they've been able to support your operators out there? Jim?
Yeah, it was quick. I mean, we got the information from Robert as far as what he wanted to do and the direction he wanted us to move. And with Rodney's help, we transitioned people very quickly. I think a lot of people were a little apprehensive. A lot of people were apprehensive about being in the office and being around other people as well. So it really went smoothly.
Jim, you have the biggest division, the most people to move.
Yeah, you know, I would say we had a massive amount of IT help with Rodney and you know, Jamie Eli and Cheryl Rock both really kind of coordinated on the operations area with the fleet manager group and our sales and customer service group, and they did a tremendous job getting everything organized, coordinated. But the credit really goes to each of our associates that you know, stepped up. You know, these aren't ideal conditions. You know, some of them have less than perfect internet service or equipment, computers. So I know they've really pitched in, stepped up. A lot of folks have put in extra time and you know, gone out and procured additional equipment if they needed to help them do better and perform at a high level. So I would say that without a doubt, this is the best team in the industry. I think that what they've been able to accomplish over these last, you know, 8 weeks or so, beginning on that Friday the 13th, as you say, Steve, is truly amazing and a testament to how strong we were going into the situation. So very proud of what everybody in all of our departments have accomplished here to service our drivers and our customers over the road.
Brett?
You know, those, Jim and Jim hit well on the in-house associates here in Springfield and across the other terminals. I'd like to also mention that, you know, I work with the tank washes and we got them secure, safe very quickly. We got some IT help to get some of the wastewater operators working off-site. We got safety gear to them quickly. We shut down one of the washes because if one of them was to get sick, we'd have to shut down the whole operation. So the washes, the managers of those washes acted quickly, and we got those facilities secure as well.
You know, I think it certainly is, as Jim said, a testament to our associates, and we may not have known it at the time, but we were planning for this for years, and no one could have done it better than our staff and the folks that we have. Kind of wanted to get into each division individually, is, you know, what we're looking at, and Jim, you probably have the toughest division. You're more
the flatbed business is tied to the market. You know, when the economy kind of goes south, correspondingly, flatbed business in general tends to go south. We've learned some lessons from the past. Some of you guys have been around long enough to recall the housing crisis in 2008 and 2009, and we've made a conscientious effort to diversify our customer base. We haul a lot of different types of products. We haul products that are construction related. We haul products that are ag related. We haul products, well, we haul boats, we haul some product for entertainment when they have shows, moving stuff from place to place. So we made a conscientious effort to try to diversify. And then the other part of it is improve on the service side, just be relentless, audit what we're doing, and do what we can to improve. I think shippers recognize that, and in a down market, particularly in a down market, it makes a difference.
We need those relationships with our shippers in the down market. We always need them, but in that down market, it really helps you. And when you look at the numbers, Flatbed, you're holding your own year over year, and you're keeping your operators whole.
Well, we're working hard at it. It's been a challenge. A lot of flatbed freight is booked on the same day. We call it same day freight. And sometimes we'll come in the mornings and be significantly short. And throughout the course of the day, you know, generally speaking, we're able to load our trucks. And so we've been fortunate. We've been blessed, but we've worked hard to get there.
And it looks like growth probably isn't at the top of your list this year. We've seen a slight decline in trucks, which is fine.
You know, if you work at Prime, you're always thinking about growth, but there's a time and a place, and you know, you have to pick that time and place, and the appropriate thing right now is probably try to keep that revenue per truck up, try to keep our operators out in the field busy and happy and profitable, and that's what we try to focus on.
Well, I think it shows. We appreciate it. Jim, you might have an advantage. People always have to eat. So maybe our challenge on the reefer side is making sure that that food is on a Prime trailer and not one of our competitors' trailers. What are you seeing in the market right now, and kind of your thoughts maybe for the next 3-6 months on where the market's going to take us?
Well, you know, don't look now, but we had over $5,000 per truck per week last week in revenue, which is something that we watch, you know, really close on a weekly basis to gauge where the market is. And you know, in the last recent history here, the last few years, it's not very many times that we've hit $5,000 per truck per week. So some of that's as we've pulled back on our brokerage arm. That's what our business model allows us to do, to pull back on brokerage so that we can make sure our assets are prioritized first. But the good news on this is that we're up on the brokerage arm this week, and we were up last week on the brokerage arm as well. And in addition to that, we're taking care of our trucks out there. And you know, I think there's going to be continued volatility. You know, as everybody out there is aware, it's been volatile the last 8 weeks. You know, there's been some major peaks and some major valleys, but our drivers have performed incredibly. We've put up some record numbers for service. We've had some great weeks of revenue. We've had some tough weeks of revenue, but overall, if you look at our last 8 weeks, what we've done is definitely premier in the industry. Now, looking ahead a little bit, you know, we're already starting to see some carriers struggle, or some competitors out there are struggling. And just this week, we've had multiple inquiries about additional business opportunities because of some of those capacity struggles. So, you know, I think that there's going to continue to be some ups and downs, but I think those will smooth out over time. And, you know, this is going to be a little bit of a different economy as we come out of this crisis. You know, there's probably not going to be as much tourism in the short term at least, and there's probably not going to be as much events and restaurant business. But you're right. We're blessed in the reefer industry. Everybody's got to eat. We're well diversified as well. We haul a lot of pharmaceuticals, you know, as among other products. So I think as the economy can start to recover, we're going to be at the head of that. And whenever there's others out there that are struggling, and that capacity is coming out of the marketplace, that's just good news for us. And I think that it all goes back to the service that all of our drivers have provided. And you know, like I said, these last 8 weeks, we've seen some record service numbers. I think that, you know, our driver base has stepped up just incredibly. You can't even really verbalize how much all of our drivers out there have stepped up to seize the opportunity, to shine, and to help our nation and all of our shipping customers. So, and the other thing I would mention is that the strength of our partnerships and our relationships with our top 20, top 30 customers and beyond, all of our customers, I think the strength of those relationships and the trust that we have between the two companies has really resulted in our customers prioritizing our trucks first. And I think that because of the service that we provide and the strength of that trust over time, I think that they've tried to do everything they could to give us our volumes at least as much as they could first. And that's, again, goes back to the service that all of our drivers have provided out there. So I think that there's going to be some bumps along the road, but overall, you know, the outlook is good on the reefer side.
You know, I've seen that from time to time when I've been fortunate enough to go on a sales call, whether it's with the flatbed division, reefer, tanker, and just the relationship between our sales folks and our customers, and the way our customers speak about our drivers. I just have a feeling that's not the same for some of our competitors. You know, they just can't say enough about our drivers and the service that the divisions provide. Brett, you're a little bit different and you're a little bit smaller. You've cornered the oil market. So what else is there? How are we going to be able to grow, maintain what we have, and grow the tanker division?
Well, you are correct. We do hold our own in the oil side of things. We single source 3 of the major producers here in the United States. So November the year before last, we got into the inedible division. We've put a lot of emphasis in that division, and that's where our growth has been. You know, we are up 5 trucks year over year, but we're up 18 trucks in our inedible division. They're hauling some tallow, some pet ingredients, some flavoring, some protein for the pet industry. And they actually had a record week last week. So, you know, that was good to see. They were up over 100% year over year last week, and continue to grow. And that's where our growth forecast is in the inedible division, and we'll continue to grow that division.
Sounds like you're confident about the future.
Yes, in
Good.
the inedible, we're developing the relationships as Jim mentioned. We're new into that market, so we're just getting out in front of people right before this happened. But we're still on the phone with them on a regular basis, from the corporate level to the day-to-day planning, and getting to know those people, and they're getting to see what Prime is all about.
That's good information. I want to talk about a different topic a little bit. Folks come to Prime, they come to make money. There's no doubt about that. Most of them have that entrepreneurial spirit. They want to have their own truck, maybe add a second truck. We've seen a slowdown in the upgrade process. It is what it is. We've seen it. We've got this pipeline we're talking about. What are your thoughts, Jim, on how we're going to take care of folks in the pipeline? There's slowdowns at the manufacturing plants of the trucks. There's just a limited number of trucks coming. We need to make sure we take care of that, folks. So I'll go through each 3 divisions, but what Flatbed's doing about the upgrade process and satisfying folks?
Well, we deal with a lot of difficult situations almost daily, and I think driver satisfaction is a key component that drives our success. And so when we have an issue, you know, we try to focus on what's the right thing to do, and I think we've become pretty good at it, to tell you the truth. I think drivers recognize that. I think our customers recognize it too. I mean, if we're having an issue, we're not bashful about getting involved. If we think that there's some problems related to the customer, the shipping customer we might be dealing with, we try to recognize our drivers as customers too, and we try to work out those issues the best way we can. You know, another thing, and this has gone on for a long time. We believe strongly in education, and you know, we have classes here that offer drivers an opportunity to learn more about the business and learn more about our culture. But probably the biggest difference maker is the way we develop drivers. We have a driver development program that gives drivers, incoming new drivers, hands-on experience to train them, and it has worked out really, really well for us. You know, Robert just hit the nail on the head when he started that, and it's probably been now probably 25 years ago when that thing first started, and it's really worked out well for us.
It got us where we are today, being able to grow our own drivers, to develop our drivers.
Right.
Jim Guthrie?
Well, I would say that what we're carefully watching is the marketplace, for one. The other thing we're watching is obviously driver earnings, and that relates back to the marketplace. You know, and I would say our turnover is really declined the last 10 weeks. Virtually no turnover. And as you look at the beginning of the year, we started with somewhere between 250 and 300 empty trucks, and we're up about 130 seated trucks since the first of the year. So we've reduced that empty truck number quite a bit, and also that tells us that we're also we don't have a lot of equipment, you know, available to continue to upgrade at that number until we can get some delivery of new trucks. You know, I think a lot of our equipment or at least parts for some of our equipment come from Mexico, and they're really struggling with shutdowns and the virus situation. And we do feel like there's going to be some delays in the equipment. So whenever you look at a lack of equipment and low turnover, you know, those two things aren't conducive to having the ability, even if the marketplace allows, to upgrade. So you know, we're a growth company. We want to continue to grow. It does look like there's good signs that the freight market is gonna demand that or command some growth. So I think that over the next 6 to 8 weeks, if you know we can get some trucks in, we'll gradually grow, and then depending on the outlook with equipment availability over the next 3 to 6 months, you know, and then we'll evaluate that with the freight market. You know, I do think there's going to be opportunity to continue to upgrade more during that period.
Certainly a good challenge to have, and I know there's a lot of folks anxious to upgrade, but we're fortunate with a lot of good team freight. We're going to keep folks busy. We're going to give them a good paycheck each week. Thank you, Jim. Brett, how about the tanker division?
We have about 40 trainers. We're not as large as the other divisions, and each of us work closely with Success Leasing in finding out when trucks will be available, how many trucks will be available each week. And we continue to bring people in, but it's usually just 2 or 3 a week. And they're going into the inedible side, most of them, or the Northeast. Those are the 2 divisions that we're really focusing on. And so if we have drivers out there that are ready to upgrade and they fit into those networks, we are bringing them in. We are also holding some out there a little bit longer that live in the Southeast and in the Illinois area as we wait for trucks to become available.
I want to thank you all 3 for being here. Thank you for your leadership in our company. You know, I'm confident the future is very bright for all of us at Prime, and a lot of it's due to your leadership in the 3 divisions. So thanks for being here today.
Thank you.
Thank you, drivers.
You know, I think from all our previous speakers, kind of the one theme we've heard is IT, the ability to move associates home, how we did it seamlessly. And we're so fortunate here to have a fantastic IT department. And today we've got Rodney, our director of IT, and we've got Brianne, our assistant director of IT here. So this is going to be easy for me because I'm just going to open it up for Brianne. I'll just say, one of the things we really miss about our Friday morning meetings is you getting up, showing different changes on the app, saying we got this from drivers, now we've put this here, we've put this here. So I'm just going to give you the floor on what have we missed by not having these meetings as far as new information.
We have a ton of new information, and so it's been really great so far. We've had a lot of drivers still, our help desk is still open 24/7. We're still doing all of our support tasks, so we got a lot of things going on. So we do get a lot of questions, and some of the ones we've been getting have been about some of the online classes. So things like the hazmat recertification is an online class. And it's really easy to get to. If you go into My Prime in your mobile app, in the menu section, there's an option for classes and training. Scroll on down and you'll see the hazmat section, and under the locations there's online class links. You just click right there and you can get some of those classes that are online. We've been trying to update the schedule, so if there has been changes in class times, different things like that, locations, we have been keeping those up to date. So that's a really good place for information if you're looking for more classes and training for some of this time. So that's one thing that we have kind of going on out there. And also we get questions about drop yards. That was a feature that we added to the fuel map probably about 6 months ago. There's a little icon in the corner that I'll put up some slides so you can kind of see, but there's a little icon that you can click on to choose what you want to filter by, and one of those selections is a drop yard. So you can show all of our drop yards, zoom out on the map, and see where all of those locations are. So it's a really easy tool, a lot of things that people can get to out there, and those are just some things that have kind of been existing that maybe we didn't do a great job of communicating out there. So we're trying our best to get some information out there on those. Some of the newer things that we got going on, just recently we did load updates. So when things change on a load, there's been a lot of changes lately, things like that on appointment times, just as other facilities are having changes in their hours. There's a notification now on the mobile app on that load screen that lets them know that there was a change, and they can click on it and then go see actually what the change was, so they can do better trip planning, things can happen, just trying to provide that information out there. So that's one of the recent things that we've done. Got really great feedback on it from everybody, so hoping that's a great tool for everybody to be using. We also got a question recently about hours for our inner departments here, and where if they've changed things like that. So we put it in My Contacts. So now if you go look at the My Contacts section, you're going to see a section for hours. So all of the numbers that are listed there, we're working on getting hours added for all of them. Most of them are done so far, but we're going out there and we're putting the hours on all of them. So if you want to know the hours of the spa or the company store, you can go out there and check them. We'll keep those updated as they've changed a little bit for some places right now, but a lot of everybody is still working 24/7. So we have all those contact information out there for all of those people. So it's been a great suggestion, and we're happy to do it to help everybody on the road and make it just a little bit easier. Some of the other things we did is we added some new macros just this week. We added macro 28, which is a way to update directions, macro 58, which was a navigation turning on and off, and we also did 59, which was a drop yard parking space. So a lot of new things coming out, a lot of things we're working on, and we're still working, and we're still taking those suggestions. So a lot of things happening in the mobile world as we try to provide a lot more information and be available.
You know, we do miss having you at the meetings on Friday, and the things I hear, two things about the app. One is it's just fantastic. It really has changed the life of the trucker out there, their ability to communicate. And the other thing is that anyone can do it, even maybe someone such as myself, maybe a little bit past my prime on some of this technology. You've made it so intuitive that you just touch it, you follow it, and on behalf of all our operators, thank you for all the work you've put into the app, and it's a game changer, without a doubt.
And we did take into consideration, so people like yourself who might not want to explore and just click around, we did put that FAQ section in the menu. We described all of these new features that we're adding. We put them all in there with screenshots, step-by-step instructions. So for people who don't want to just click around, we got something for you too. So there's a lot of information out there.
Well, that's fantastic, and we appreciate it.
Thanks, Steve.
Rodney.
Yes.
Whenever we have a question, in the staff meeting, someone will say something, Rodney will go, no, I don't think that's right. I don't think anyone has more knowledge of how everything works in the background in order to pay the driver, to book a load. And we've had several questions on two topics, so I'm going to open the floor to you just to kind of describe to all of us again how these work. And I know on the fuel surcharge, we're going to try to put together an entirely separate video. We may even do that on detention. Information is power. So those are the two topics. If you could just talk to us about how fuel surcharge works and how detention works for the operator.
Sure. So right now in our fuel surcharge program, we really have two different bases. We have one base that is $1.20 base and based on 6 miles a gallon. Then we have a 99-cent base based on 7 miles a gallon. That 99 cents is effective for the newer contracts queue going forward. But really what we do is we actually look at the average price of fuel for the previous week for our fleet. And that really takes into consideration the discounts and everything else, so it's a net price. And then what we do is we run it through a formula. We subtract out the 120 if it's a 120 base, divide the result by 6, and really we come up with what our guarantee is at that point. And really it shouldn't be called guarantee anymore, because several contract versions back we actually went to really just fuel surcharge rather than a guarantee. And so we really look at that number, we round it to the nearest half cent, and then we actually apply that against all the miles that that operator is paid for. You know, we do for really old contracts, L version back, we truly had a guarantee. You know, there are still a few operators that are under that contract. That one is a better of program. But really from version M forward, we've really done things differently. We tried to apply the 7 mile a gallon base. Really, it's a fair treatment is what it is. It's really, we're all about sharing revenue with the operator, so we share expenses. So therefore, we really came up with a realistic number, and that's what we use for fuel surcharge.
And really, you know, for simple folks such as myself, when fuel's going down in price, the surcharge is going down. When fuel escalates, that's when you start to see that real big fuel surcharge.
That is correct. And really, when we changed the base from 6 miles a gallon to 7 miles a gallon, we really made it more of a fair program. And really what's happening now is if you're on the Q contract, your fuel surcharge is better now than if you were on the L. It gets about even at about $2.50 a gallon, but as fuel goes up, essentially the fuel surcharge is adjusted, and really it's a fair number now, is what it is.
Good, that's some good information, and I think we will make that video and really get into the nuts and bolts and how it's calculated, what a driver can expect to see, because it's important to them. It's part of their business, and you guys do a great job on that. How about detention? Where most of us struggle on detention, so help us.
So let me ask, first of all, detention independent contractors, detention company drivers, or both?
Let's do company drivers first. That's a little more basic, and then go into the independent contractor.
Okay, so detention on the company driver. You know, we, first of all, on a per customer basis, we have the ability to set up what we call an allowance, and that is free time. That really doesn't apply to our company driver. What happens is there is an allowance in there. The allowance at this point, I believe, is 3 hours. And after that time, we start paying the lead seat, and I think it's $17.50 an hour. And the second seat at this point is $12.50. And we changed that as of September last year. And that is paid regardless of whether we can bill the customer or not. That's out of Prime's pocket. But if detention happens, we do pay the company driver. It has nothing to do with billing the customer. We do have to have the detention approved, though. So that's part of the process. On the independent contractor, it's a little bit different situation. Again, we're about revenue sharing and expensing sharing. So it's based on the customer rules, their allowance, and essentially there's really 3 different processes that happen there, and we try to help our operators understand what's going on. During the load assignment, whenever we send it out, we let them know whether we paid, if detention happens, if we pay at the time we pay the trip, or if we pay at the time that the customer approves it. And we actually let them know too if a customer doesn't pay detention at all. And you know, they're an independent contractor, it's their prerogative whether they take the loads or not, but we try to inform them of that. So if it's approved and it is coded to pay at trip time, that's when we pay it, when we pay the trip. If not, if for some reason it hasn't been approved or it's coded to pay at customer time, what we do is we pay that when it's either approved and or paid by the customer. One of the really weak spots we have in that area right now is really not keeping the independent contractor in the loop. That is a project that we're working on right now. We expect it to take 3 to 4 weeks to finish. But right now, through the settlements process, right before we do the trial, we reanalyze all of those pending records. So we're looking at either moving that to real time or at least once a day. That way we can put those pending detention payments on the app so the operator can keep better track of that. As far as the actual calculation, I talked about the allowance, but really the operator needs to arrive within the appointment window or previous to it. The customer can be set up to use early appointment time or late appointment time. So again, it's individual customer based, and their allowance can be different, but it really varies by customer. That's why we try to put that information out as far as do they pay, if they pay, when do we pay you?
I know it's an extremely complicated area, and you guys do a great job in explaining it. Would the fleet manager be the driver's first point of contact with questions on that?
Absolutely, absolutely. They should understand the detention process. They do have some tools right now to be able to go and see those pending entries. We'll enhance those a little bit, but really from history, we're best off really getting the independent contractor in the loop, letting them know what's going on. Therefore, that really puts tension back on the fleet manager. So,
and let the independent contractor make business decisions.
Absolutely.
He's running a business as an independent contractor.
Absolutely.
One thing that we've heard again and again as we've made this tape today is the seamless move to having our in-house associates working at home. And while we may think it's seamless, I know it wasn't for the IT department. Just a fantastic job to get that done. We had a lot of the foundation, I think, in place, but it still took a lot of work. Any final thoughts on that move home, Breanne, or?
It was, I'm not going to say it wasn't a challenge, but it was, a lot of people rushing to work from home. But I'm going to tell you, our help desk and all of our IT associates really stepped up their game. I mean, trying to get all kinds of things finalized, still working on new projects moving us forward, but being able to help everybody with different skill levels from home, different internet types, different computers, getting everybody logged in so they could answer their phone calls, they could get all their desktop, just like if they were sitting here. And our associates have been very thankful, and our IT folks have done a really great job. And I can't say enough, just the teamwork from everybody together has really made this possible.
Oh, your folks are great. 24/7, every day of the year. It doesn't matter who's on the help desk. And some of these young guys, they are amazing. And I can't even get logged in. Oh, here, do this, do that. Do I need to come over to your desk? You've just done a great job with bringing these folks along, and we appreciate that.
Yeah, we're not going to too many desks right now. We adapted as well. We only have one IT person on site. Usually at a time, try to limit our own exposure, but everybody's still available, connected by phone, online, and ready to help. So if there's problems, we're here.
And Steve, let me follow up on that. My name was mentioned several times. It's not me, as Breanne said, it's the group. It's a group effort. You talked about the platform. We did have the platform in place for many of the pieces. We needed some additional licensing. Robert is the one that allows us to have that platform in place. Also, there was a plan established about the 13th. And that plan was, first of all, we get off people that we're concerned about, that have pre-existing conditions. That's the first thing we did. Second thing we did is people that were concerned. But we worked a plan, and that plan came from the top. And every department followed that plan. And that's why we've been so successful. It's not been one person, one department, it's been the entire company.
Well, it sure shows. And I think and I hope our operators recognize the reason we're doing all this is to support our operators, our frontline associates out there that are seeing the customers every day. And that's why we do this. I want to thank you both for joining us today. Hopefully it wasn't too painful. My questions
No, we just look forward to getting a chance to see everybody again and thanking everybody for their opportunity and being there to help us during this time also.
It's all good.
Yeah, and I want to follow up on that again. And our drivers on the road, it's incredible what they've done, and they're finally getting some recognition that they deserve. It's always been our job here to recognize them, but at least the general public now kind of sees what they do. and their efforts. And so, you know, even though it's a bad time, there is some positive things that come out of this.
Absolutely. That's well said. Thank you both.
Thank you all.
Everything we've been talking about today has been due to the COVID-19, the coronavirus outbreak, literally around the world. It's been a challenge for everyone in the world, and it's been a challenge locally, personally, for our own company here. And the two gentlemen with me here have really coordinated our coronavirus outbreak at Prime. We've got Dr. Abraham from Trinity Health. I talked very early on the video about the call from Dr. Abraham to Robert Lowe when we were on our way back from Bermuda and the insurance shopping we were doing. And I could just tell from that call that what Dr. Abraham was telling Robert was hitting home, and that this was serious. And we've got Jason Seymour. Jason and I have worked together for well over 20 years together, and he's been tasked with a difficult job of coordinating with our drivers. Those that have an issue, let's get them in, let's get them tested, who we have to quarantine, and just has done a magnificent job with that. So thank you both for spending a couple of minutes with us. I think where I'll start, just because Jason made a couple of slides, and I think what it's telling me is just how successful our training has been and the protocols we've put out, that we've told any driver that's sick, we need to know about it. The symptoms get run by you, Dr. Abraham, and I think there's been 169 people approximately that we tested, and out of those drivers, only 17 were positive. So what that's telling me is you're still going to catch a cold, there's still going to be other ailments out there, but if you follow our protocols, you're probably going to be okay when it comes to the coronavirus. So for a company this big, that we've only had just a handful of driver positives. Can you comment on that, and have we gone about this the right way?
You know, I'd say, given the numbers that we're seeing, I think we have gone about it the right way. We've taken the necessary precautions and put protocols in place, you know, even from the beginning. We took a very proactive approach. We didn't wait to see what was going to happen. We went ahead and implemented our own policies and procedures, and a lot of them were higher than what the CDC would have recommended, and we were fine with that. You know, much like we do with our DOT exams, we take a higher standard than a lot of other carriers, and I think by way of that we've produced a safer fleet, and now we're showing that we've produced a healthier fleet too. And you know, my team at Trinity has done a great job. They field a lot of the information that's coming in from Jason's team, and again, you know, to echo your words on Jason, he's done a great job coordinating, and to have that aspect for me to utilize has been tremendous. So I think those coordinated efforts have really made an impact and keep our numbers low.
Certainly when you were in medical school, you probably didn't envision dealing with a pandemic during your medical career.
Yeah, not necessarily. Didn't think I would be in the midst of a pandemic, you know, let alone turning a hotel into a quarantine ward. You know, those are definitely new, uncharted waters that myself and other health professionals out there are having to cross, you know, as they get those bridges.
Well, it certainly hasn't been without some pain, without some pushback. It is what it is, but I think the stance that you took initially kind of set the tone for the company, and for us to be able to have over 10,000 associates, and any positive is painful for us. We don't want to see anyone sick, but to have so few, you see on the news, you can have more positives from just one church service if the wrong person gets in there.
Oh yeah.
Just one group of people have well over 20 people positive in a congregation, as an example. And
yeah, and you look at it, I mean, if you look at, you know, these 10,000 plus employees, we're spanning, you know, how many different states, and we're through all kinds of different hot zones, and despite that, we've been able to keep those numbers low.
Pretty amazing, and you know, we just are so grateful to you and your staff for basically leading us down what we need to be doing, because we can be stubborn. You know, Jason, you know, you've just done a phenomenal job. 8,500 drivers out there. You're probably getting phone calls around the clock. One question we had was, well, hypothetically, I'm a driver and I come into the yard and I'm really not feeling well. I'm having trouble catching my breath, or I think I might have a fever. You're checking everyone. Let's say you establish he does have a fever. And we'll assume in this case he's going to turn out to be positive, but walk us through everything that happens with initial testing with Trinity, quarantining, how we take care of them.
Absolutely. Well, what we'll do is once the driver reports that they're not feeling well, through their fleet manager, what they'll do is they'll notify us and Trinity, and we'll put the plan in place. We have a wing of the hotel set up as a quarantine zone. The folks over there have done an amazing job at taking care of our operators. We'll take care of whatever needs to be taken care of operationally here, whether it be a truck or trailer, and we'll arrange for the driver to be transported over to the hotel, at which point they'll go into a quarantine room. The reason we want to do that in Springfield is because it allows us to take care of the driver and give them the support that they need, whether it be meal service, which we can provide, having a bed and a hot shower, a place to safely, comfortably quarantine. We can run to Walmart and get your prescriptions for you. We've had drivers ask for hot tea and pretzels and just some maybe small comforts that maybe make that stay while they're waiting to get the test results back a little bit more comfortable. That's why we want to do that here. So what we do at that point is then we've arranged for testing to be at the campus now. We were having the folks come back over here and test on site, but we have testing over at the campus now. So what'll happen is Dr. Abraham will go over, he'll collect the sample, get it sent off, and then hopefully in 2 days we've got a negative. But if it's a positive, then we're going to hold that driver there and until such time as they receive a negative test, and then they can go back to work.
We've seen a lot of, I think, I'll just call them grateful comments on social media from folks that we have had to quarantine that have said, they went to Walmart for me, they brought me my meals, and nobody wants to get coronavirus, but if you're going to get it, I think being quarantined at the campus you're going to be taken care of.
Absolutely. Our first choice would be at home, if the driver was able to go home. But with just how our trucks are and where folks live at and stuff, that's not always possible to do. But we certainly don't want somebody stuck in a truck for an extended period of time without access to those things that they need to keep themselves comfortable and safe during that quarantine period while we either, number one, get the test results, or number two, the virus runs its course and you're able to return to work.
And I've seen your slide about the virus running its course. We're not talking 48 hours here.
No, and that's maybe the scary thing, and I need to put a plug in too. I want to put a plug in. I mean, this has totally been a team effort. I can't say enough about the folks at the hotel, all the staff here in the plaza. Really, it's been a total team effort as far as taking care of our drivers, and it's really been our pleasure. You guys have earned our living for us, for me personally, 20 plus years, and so we are happy to do it. Whether it's Stan Casterkey has been huge, his whole staff. Again, the folks out here in lineup, the inspectors have been involved, Vernon Embry and the folks out here when it comes to getting supplies in the right place. It's just been an absolute team effort to mobilize and really take care of our drivers. We don't want them sick. As remarkable as the numbers are, and to put that in context, we do about 21,000 loads a week. So if every load has one pickup and delivery, that's 42,000 customer stops. So and we've been at this for about 8 weeks now. So that's 336,000 locations that we've been to, shipping or receiving locations. That's not counting the truck stops or the restaurants or just the people you talk to when you're in Walmart, resupplying your truck. It's just amazing to me, remarkable that we can have that many, individual contacts, as Dr. Abraham said, in these hot zones, in New York and New Jersey metropolitan area, in Chicago, in Detroit, in some of these places where the virus has just been rampant, and our folks, because they've listened to Dr. Abraham's advice and guidance and followed the protocols that we have set in place, we've been able to have 17 tests. It's 0.2% of our total driver force. It's amazing. Now, again, not to diminish, the risk is still there, and that's why we need to remain diligent and focused on keeping ourselves healthy and not let our guard down as things start to loosen up a little bit. Because you can see from this slide that out of the 17 people that we have that have tested positive, it hurts. It hurts bad, not just physically, but from a financial standpoint as well. With some of these quarantine periods extending, several of them really hitting that 40-day mark before we're able to obtain a negative sample and allow that driver to safely go back to work. So
it really does seem there's more unknowns than knowns still about the COVID-19, that there's still more unknowns. I know Robert's going to lean on you, Dr. Abraham, as we start to gradually, I'll call it return to normal. We may never return to where we were before March 13th, but kind of your thoughts on, for our driver associates and for the office, how we'll start to work towards returning.
And a few things are going to have to come into play there. I think, and you're right, it's not necessarily going to return back to normal per se. I think it's going to become the new norm. I think we'll continue to see temperature checks, health risk assessment questions. Have you had cough, fever, shortness of breath, trouble breathing? The normal question we've been asking, we've been screening folks. So we'll continue to see that. We may see some introduction of antibody testing on a mass level. These things we'll talk to Robert about and come up with a game plan on. As you know, we did about 100 antibody tests here in the terminal. Random selection, I did do a couple that were known positives just to validate the test, and both those were positive, but none of the other ones have been positive thus far. So I think that goes to show you that we have done a good job maintaining social distancing within the terminal itself, and staggering work shifts, keeping people at home that are able to work home. But yeah, at some point people are going to want to come back to work into the office. So it may require an antibody test. And again, the antibody test only tells us if you have been exposed to it. It doesn't necessarily tell us if you actively have it. There are a couple things in development. There's a saliva test that can be done to determine if somebody's got an active infection. A lot less invasive than the nasal swab, which I'm sure a lot of people will be happy about. But at this point, we currently are using the nasal swab. We hope to see that saliva test probably about the 1st of June or so. We'll kind of wait and see how that plays out.
And you've got confidence that that will be an accurate test, the saliva swab?
I want to see the white papers on it, see the scientific data. I'm hoping so. If I don't anticipate any false positives with it, because it's actually looking for the genetic material of the virus, so you can't really fake that part. There's a potential for false negatives, and I want to see what that is. And that's going to be due to collection error or due to the test assay itself not being able to pick it up. So I think the risk would be more so for the false negatives and the false positives. So hopefully, the antibody test in combination with something like that will help us get to the point where we can really bring people back in full force, help to assist us in getting new drivers in and cleared and screened before they get here, so we're not impacting our terminals with unknowns out there.
Well, I think your protocol on the new drivers has worked. I'm not aware of anyone that's arrived at orientation that ultimately was a positive case for coronavirus.
So far, yeah, we've been lucky as far as that goes, and I think a lot of it has to do with the protocols we put in place.
Okay. Jason, any final thoughts on anything we want to share with our operators and our in-house associates and mechanics?
No, just a huge thanks to everybody. It really has been a team effort. We know it's taken a lot of patience, but we're going to stay focused on keeping everybody safe. Robert made that very clear to everybody at the very beginning, that our number one goal was to protect the health and well-being of our associates. And then right behind that was we were going to conduct business. And so that as always is goal number one. We're going to continue to screen. We're going to continue to ask questions and obtain temperatures. We're going to continue to ask you to put a mask on if you're in the facility, because we know that works, because it has worked so far. The results speak for themselves with the overall really minimal impact to the overall health of our company, coupled with the really high level of business that we've been able to maintain over the last 8 weeks is just, again, it's remarkable. So we're gonna stay the course, and we're gonna stay focused on it. So we appreciate everybody's patience and understanding. And just know that we're doing it for the best interest of everybody at Prime.
I think remarkable is a good word. Dr. Abraham, any final thoughts?
No, nothing but appreciation for Prime and the drivers. Without that cooperation, we wouldn't be able to do what we've done.
Well, again, I want to thank you both. You're very gracious with sharing a lot of the credit, but a lot of the credit goes right here to you both for keeping us safe, for keeping our company safe. So we're as a company, we're grateful to you both, and thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
One thing I've noticed as we've done these 9 videos now is that all our speakers, our participants, all speak from the heart. They have good information, and really they care. This video may have gone a little bit longer than we had scripted it for when we were kind of outlining what we were going to do, but I hope you found it informative. It's really about our company. It starts at the top with Robert, and then it filters down to the rest of us, but you heard Jason say it. He gave us 2 things to make sure we accomplish. Keep our associates healthy, and let's make sure we're delivering freight safely, supporting our customers, because that's what it's all about. I appreciate you watching the video. I think next week we're going to do an all safety video, change it up a little bit. It'll be myself, the safety supervisors. We've got some questions that have come in that we want to answer, so we're going to do that next week, and then we'll see where it goes from there. So thank you for watching the video. We appreciate it. We appreciate everything that all our associates are doing, whether you're out on the road delivering freight, whether you're working in the shop or you're working in the office. We appreciate each and every one of you, and our strength comes from all of us collectively working together. So thank you for everything that you do, and I will talk to you again next week. Thank you.